Graham requested me on Patreon to review the Disney Channel original movie Halloweentown II: Kalabar's Revenge. Before I talk about the sequel, I'm going to briefly talk about the first film, which I did see when it originally aired. I recently revisited it and found it held up nicely as a fun Halloween movie with a decent amount of creativity. I thought it evoked that Halloween spirit quite well, and it's easy to see why so many remember it fondly. I posted my full thoughts on my Letterboxd page, which I'll provide a link to in the description. As for the sequel, I actually had not seen the whole thing until now. For whatever reason, I only caught the ending on television, but that ending did stick with me for reasons I'll get to later. But what do I think of Halloweentown 2 as a whole? I enjoyed this one too, even more than the first one, as the writers came up with an exciting story. The sequel was released 3 years later, and it does reflect the time that has passed, as the characters for the most part have grown and matured. They don't remain stagnant, which is appreciated. Marnie remains a likable lead, and we also see how she has become more accustomed to her magical abilities. Ditto for her younger sister Sophie and the brother Dylan. Debbie Reynolds continues to be a delight as the grandmother Aggie, with the film further showing the closeness between her and Marnie. Honestly, if you told me Reynolds was Kimberly J. Brown's grandmother, I would believe it. They are that convincing in playing these roles. The only major character who does not seem to have changed much is the mother, who's still the same stick in the mud she was in the first movie. I actually found her quite frustrating in Halloweentown, as it does not delve that much into why she hates the place she was raised in and why she does not want her children to be witches. In this one, she does reveal she does not want them to use magic to easily solve their problems, but her reasonings are still weak. I did think Marnie was depicted as a little too trusting towards a boy she just met, and even lets him into Aggie's room. Why did she do that? Teenage hormones, I guess. The story really kicks into high gear when Marnie and her grandmother return to Halloweentown and find out said boy is Cal, the son of Kalabar, the villain from the first movie. His plan is actually quite diabolical, and he clearly put a lot of planning and preparation into it. He's often 2 steps ahead of the heroes, providing some level of stakes here. The idea of making Halloweentown into a boring place and the human world in Halloweentown is a clever one, and we especially see the effect this has on the former. I like how much of the movie involves Marnie, Aggie, and their friend Luke trying to figure out how to stop Cal. At some point, time travel also enters the mix, and that becomes a fun story element. I was also impressed with the visual presentation of the movie, with the director, Mary Lambert, doing a lot of creative things with the witch's magical powers, and when we see Halloweentown being put under a spell that makes everything gray and turns the residents into regular boring people. And when we see Halloweentown in its normal state, it captures the holiday even more than the first one did. I mentioned at the start that I only caught the ending before, but it's easy to see why I never forgot it all these years later. Cal turns the people of this Halloween party into the masks and costumes they're wearing, and the makeup department did a fantastic job of turning everyone into these creatures. One of the people transformed is the mother, who becomes this vicious monster, and it's genuinely creepy. I've read comments from people saying when they watched Halloweentown 2 at a very young age, this part gave them nightmares, and I can believe it. The mother has basically become possessed by this evil creature, and the makeup artist went all out to make her look as monstrous as possible. This looks like a creature you might see in a legit horror film, rather than what you might expect in a Disney Channel original movie. The only unusual part about the ending is that after the initial transformation scene, everyone just kind of stands in the background. I feel like they could have done even more with this concept. The mother also disappears after she transforms, and we don't ever see her again until after the spell is reversed. When Marnie was confronting Cal at the end, the whole time I just kept wondering where she went off to. Did she go outside for a smoke? Where is she? There's also a girl who turns into a bloodthirsty vampire, and same deal. She does not reappear until after she turns back to normal. Was she biting somebody's neck off screen? Did she unknowingly turn someone to a vampire while she was briefly in that state? Are they going to find the school principal's body behind the bleachers later? These are legitimate questions I have, and I wish the movie was 5 minutes longer so that we could see more of what happened at this Halloween party while this spell is cast. Anyway, I think Halloweentown 2: Kalabar's Revenge more than works as a sequel to the first film. The filmmakers did a number of creative things with the setting and concept. The family dynamic that was essential to the first one is still there while continuing to evolve, and there are major stakes in the story for both Halloweentown and the human world. Now, if you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Graham.